So let's get into more details on the CV that I used during my scholarship application process. Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree Scholarship mandates that each scholarship applicant uses the Europa CV format. I'm going to paste the link to that website where you see a structured kind of template where you can input your name, your date of birth, your nationality, gender, those basic information about yourself on the Europa's CV. So now I'll be reading from my screen where I have my CV that I used. So you guys can have your pen and your paper and then you jot things down. And yeah, before I get into the details of my CV, if you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to put on your notifications so that when I drop new videos, you're going to be among the first people to see them. You need a very good motivation letter as much as you need a very good CV if you want to apply for a scholarship opportunity. So they both go hand in hand. Yeah. And that is why when I did that for the motivation letter, I said and I promised that I was going to do this, which is for the CV. So for my CV, the Europa CV format, it has like a template that creates a space for you to include a picture of yourself, something very decent, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So your picture is going to be there, your date of birth, your nationality, your gender, your phone number, telephone number, your email, a link to your LinkedIn profile. For my CV, I had my Skype ID. Skype ID is actually important because some programs do interviews. So in a way for them to have that interview, they always ask you to include your Skype ID in your CV. There's a part that asks for a brief information about you. Keep it simple. So for my own about me, I went by writing resilient, critical thinker, and a student who is passionate about research and contributing to knowledge. Full stop. A result-oriented and positive team player who loves to create value via continuous learning. So that is my about, 2 sentences, and that's it. Let's move to the main body of my CV. Yeah, so for the first part of my CV, that is the first section, I had my work experience. I know a lot of people will be like, no, you shouldn't arrange your CV in that order. Your education background should be the first. I mean, everybody is going to do that. So I want to do something differently. Yeah. So work experience, I'll be reading from my laptop. For your work experience, when you are mentioning those stuff that you've done in the past, please arrange them in the reverse chronological order. The ones that you've just done recently should come first, and then the ones you've done in the past should come, below the recent job. Arrange these things in the reverse chronological order. A lot of students have these complaints about, I didn't have like any work experience while I was on campus. I was just a student. Some of you did internship. Some of you must have been probably a course rep. I mean, these things are kind of experiences, right, that can fit into, under the work umbrella. The CV evaluators, they understand that you are a student and you don't really have that work experience, quote and unquote. But I mean, you need to really sit down, think of something that you've done while on campus. Have you assisted a professor? Have you tutored students? Have you taught in any capacity? Think, like, what have you done? So for me, I started by saying field research assistant, and then I put in bracket postdoctoral, because the person I worked with at the time was a postdoctoral student. I was like, how should I include these things in my CV? Sometimes you have those experiences, but you don't know how to really describe them, because you're like, if I did this for a lecturer, what am I going to use as a title for what I did? So I always advise students, if it is something that is related to academics, you can put an assistant researcher if you went to the field to collect data and stuff like that. But there is this will I say backward notion from students that when they use the word researcher, it looks very big. No, it is not big. It is not big to the extent that you feel you shouldn't use it. Use it to your own advantage. Field research assistant, put it there, and then you come below what you've written and you highlight some of those responsibilities that you shoulder during that period. Simple. And you talk about the focus of that research, which is under your work experience, study of blah 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 people in the southwestern Nigeria, and responsibility assisted in survey, reading, stratigraphy, drawing, and material analysis and interpretation. These are my contribution during the research period, which I put under my work experience. Now, whatever it is that you are highlighting as your responsibility should relate to what you really did, but try as much as possible not to limit yourself to what you did alone. Try to look for for the relationship between what you did and the program that you are currently applying to. It would influence how you write your responsibility. That is that for work experience. So we move to the next section of my CV, which is education and training. So basically for this part, you need to talk about the universities you went to, and there is a reason I merged it as education and training, because I wanted to list those trainings that I have done recently and also the ones that I've done in the past. Don't forget, arrange them in the reverse chronological order. Let the most recent education or training come first. The ones you've done in the past, let them come last, regardless of whatever educational level it is. Now, for education and training, I know that this might sound far away from the normal, right? A lot of people have health, safety, and environment certificates, but sometimes they gloss over it and they don't include it in their CV. But for real, it is very important. I'm saying it is very important because I have read about my program and I've seen that the program will warrant for us to do a lot of lab work, and it is very important for students to have a knowledge of first aid and also a knowledge of workspace and safety measures that must be put in place so that you don't get any casualties. I wanted my program to know that I have a rudimentary knowledge about these things. That would have contributed to my winning the scholarship, because if this person has a very good training, exposure and stuff like that. So include things that are very important. Let the goals, let the objectives, let the scope of the program influence what you include in your curriculum vitae. It is very, very important. You don't be like, I just want to submit my CV, I don't care. It will be garbage in, garbage out. So you don't want that to happen to you. So I included the websites to that training institution so that the program can confirm that what I'm saying is actually true. I just gave them like a hint of what this training was about: workplace safety and risk assessment in field, laboratory and industries. You see, I was trying to incorporate words that the program would definitely be familiar with. I've used field. I know we'll be going for field trips, going for field work, so I included field. I know we'll be doing a lot of laboratory work, so I included laboratory, and industries. I know we'll be visiting places. That is why I included this. I know for sure that these things are very crucial. These things are very relevant. And then I went down and I put my bachelor's in brackets. When you put BSc or BEd or BPharm or whatever bachelor degrees you have, put in brackets the class of degree that you graduated with, and go as far as mentioning the grade itself. You say you are a second class upper student, but second class upper differs, so put a number to it. Let them know the second class upper that you are talking about. I believe it is important. Beneath that mention, I talk about the courses that I took. I highlighted 5 important courses that are strongly related to the master's program that I was applying for. I listed out 5 key courses that I've taken while I was pursuing my bachelor's that are strongly related to the program that I've applied for. So this is also very important. Put the title of your thesis under where you mention your bachelor's degree, and then talk about the methodologies that you use during your research for your bachelor's. Try as much as possible to look very critically if these methods are related to what the program is kind of familiar with. If you use a lot of methods, you can try to streamline them and pick those very relevant ones that are tightly connected or tightly related to the program that you are applying for. So let's move to the next section on my CV. So this part is language skill. It is very important to include the language that you know how to speak, the language that you are proficient in. And for me, based on the structure of the Europa CV, it outlines the part where you have to talk about your mother tongue and then other languages. So your mother tongue, you put your mother tongue. This is the Europa CV format, your mother tongue. And then you go down and you see a place where it says other languages, then understanding, speaking, and then writing. So underneath it, for me, I chose English. Listening C1, reading C1, spoken production C1, spoken interaction C1, writing C1. English has been the language of instruction throughout my academic experience, right from kindergarten up until currently. So what are we talking about? There is no way I'm gonna say I speak English to a B1 level or A1 level. That's not possible. C1. So if English has been the language language of instruction right from your kindergarten up until your tertiary institution, and maybe beyond that, please just hit the C1 all through. And I included French because in my secondary school, French was taught and I got very good grades in French. I knew how to speak French. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci. Quel âge as-tu? Comment tu t'appelles? We are not talking about bonjour les massés. No, this is not bonjour les massés. If you have the confidence of speaking a language to an extent, there is a way you can impute that information on the Europass CV, because they will ask for the listening capacity, reading capacity, spoken production capacity, spoken interaction capacity, and the writing capacity. I think you guys are proficient English speakers, especially those that study across Nigerian universities. Yeah, go on different language apps, try to learn to basic levels, because when you include this in your CV, it can contribute to your getting a scholarship. Make sure that the languages that you are learning are more or less specific to the program that you are also applying for. But I mean, you can learn just about any language that would be very important for you as well. So yeah, learn languages. Let's move to the next section on my CV. Now we'll be talking about publication. So for publication, a lot of students find it very difficult when they get to this point. They'll be like, oh my God, I don't have any publication. Oh, am I going to get a scholarship? This is very competitive. I don't think I stand a chance. All of that, complaints and everything. But I think it's not a problem. A lot of people have gotten scholarships without publication. People who graduated with a very good academic grade from bachelors have even gotten scholarship opportunities that got them a PhD directly with their bachelor's degree, even without a publication. So don't fret, don't freak out. Make do with what you have currently and make sure that you get everything tightened up. So for my publication, this paper came as a result of my seriousness while I was doing my undergraduate thesis. I carried out my research very well, did a lot of runnings here and there, beautifully written work and everything, and my supervisor was interested. We published my work at the time, and I got that opportunity, and then we published my work, and that was what I included in my CV as my publication. So it is very, very important, because the program would always want to look at your research character. What is your research output? Do you have papers? Do you have articles? Do you have essays? Include them in your CV. It has to be in this format: the title, the reference, and then you talk about the whether it is published, or probably it is in press, or if it is published, you can provide a link to the publication so that when they click, it takes them to where you have your publication. I always advise students, create an academia profile so that those papers you have, probably you are yet to publish them, but you have your essays, you can save them on academia so that you can copy the link, mention the title of the paper, write the references, and then put the status of that paper. If it is published, provide the link. If it is not published, you can put in press, and then you write the publication that you are looking forward to publish that paper with. So it's very, very important. So that is that for publication. We move to the next section, which is network and membership. Network and membership is also very important, because you are a student, right, and you call yourself a researcher. You should be able to join professional bodies. You need to know how to network. You need to join associations so that you are not left out on the current state of research and what is happening in the field. You have to be very current. So that is the idea. Yeah, it strengthens your CV and it gives the scholarship awarders a proper overview of the kind of student that you are. So it is very, very important. So let's move to the next section on my CV, which is conferences and seminars. Talk about the conferences that you've attended. If you had a poster presentation, maybe a PowerPoint presentation basically on a topic, highlight those things under conferences and seminar. Mention the name of the seminar, put the title of the conference, if you were a guest speaker, if you were a host, if you were one of the organizers of certain sections during the conference, talk about these things on your CV, list them out. For example, computer application and quantitative methods in biotechnology, workshop, World Heritage Site in West Africa, Department of, put those things, let them see them. It is very, very important. And don't forget, I'll keep mentioning this, arrange them in the reverse chronological order. The ones you did recently, make sure that they come first. And the ones you've done in the past, put them at the bottom. Very, very important. And also, don't just list out conferences and seminars that are not very related to the program that you are applying to, so that your ideas or what you are mentioning doesn't really look like far-fetched and out of context. I highlighted the paper that I presented, the title of the paper I presented, and then I included a link to that presentation. Very, very important. And how did I do that? I already have the presentation in my Google Drive. I stored it on my Google Drive. So I generated the link and then I copied and pasted it in my CV. So anybody that clicks the link, which is on my CV, it's going to take them to that presentation that I did during that conference. So this is actually very important. Please, 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 please take note. If you have the conference proceedings, you can take the book and maybe take pictures of the pages that your mentions are on, right? And then you take it and you save it in Google Drive and then generate a link and then paste it, so that when they click it, they are going to see it for sure that yes, this person attended this conference and presented a paper titled blah blah blah. So that is it on conference and seminars. So let's move to another section. So this is on volunteering activities. So most undergraduate students, they've done a lot of volunteering even without them knowing. So try as much as possible to sit down and really think of those things that you've done. What have you contributed to? I mean, you volunteered unpaid, or probably you were paid for it. Talk about it. Talk about those volunteer activities that you've done in the past. For example, this is what I said: undergraduate volunteer. That was the only time I volunteered before I got the scholarship to undergraduate volunteer. And then I came down, I just mentioned those things that I did. Assisted undergraduate students at field school to construct contour maps for sites using, I mentioned the software that I use, Sofa and Excel softwares. So this is actually very, very important. So these are volunteering activities that you've done, but sometimes because you don't really sit down to think of what you've really done, then it looks as if you've not done anything, but you've done something in the real fact. So sit down and like reminisce on what you did and try to see how you can incorporate them into your CV. And don't put things that are not related to the program. Please don't put things that are not related to the program. It's just a waste of time and waste of space. So let's move to the next section of my CV, which is leadership and community service. You talk about the key roles. You should be able to generate statements that relate to what you've done in the past and also relate to the program that you're applying for. Very, very important. Member of tutorial committee. ASA, organize free tutorial classes for undergraduate students to increase their performance level in difficult coursework. Laboratory coursework representative. So this formed my leadership and community service section. Meanwhile, I have done something that is related to student welfare and security on campus. I was the internal affairs and defense minister then, but I did not include it because in a way it is not related to this program that I am applying to. So let's move to the next section, which is professional certification and awards. So for professional certification and awards, what I did basically, I listed out all the certificates that I've gotten, especially those that I took from Coursera, Udemy, FutureLearn. We have so many learning platforms out there where you can take massive open online courses. So it's very, very important you list all of them. Make sure that you have saved all of these certificates on your Google Drive, or maybe you save them on Dropbox, and then you put them together in one file and you create a link, and then you paste it in your CV so that when they click on the link, it takes them to all of the certificates that you have mentioned in your CV. So this is also very, very important. Take courses that are related to the program you're applying to. So that is that for the CV I submitted when I was applying for the European Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree Scholarship. Guys, if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section and I would be glad to respond to them ASAP. So thank you for watching up until this time. Really appreciate. If you are here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do. Bye guys. Salute.